Good-ass job. Back in 2003, before the release of his debut College Dropout, Kanye intended to create a series of 4 albums, and even had them planned out: College Dropout, Late Registration, Graduation, and Good-ass Job. The first 3 albums followed the sequence and dropped between 2004 and 2007, but just 2 months after the 3rd album, Graduation, Kanye's mom died, which caused him to go deep into depression. To make matters worse, Kanye was dealing with getting used to his new fame, and in the spring of 2008, he ended his relationship with his former fiancée, Alexis Pfeiffer. Kanye was in a really bad place, so he scrapped Good-ass Job and released 808s and Heartbreak instead in 2008. After 808s and Heartbreak, Kanye got into a lot of drama, including his 2009 VMA stunt, and ended up going on a music exile in Hawaii. But in February of 2010, Big Sean revealed that Kanye was working on an album, and everyone expected it to be a completion of the 4-album series with Good-ass Job. In October, Kanye also confirmed that he really was working on an album, but he changed the title to My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, saying that he didn't want to continue the skits that the other albums had and wanted to bring something new. The album was long forgotten, but in 2018, on one of Chance the Rapper's open mic sessions, Kanye revealed that he was working with Chance on an album titled Good-ass Job, but that also never happened, after the two fell out in 2022. During a recording session, Kanye was seen screaming at Chance, apparently telling him to either listen to the album that was being worked on or leave the studio. Thank God for Drugs, or TGFD for short, was supposed to be the title for the 2013 Yeezus. The reason for the name change isn't something that is known, but according to Kanye, Yeezus is his god name. Kanye started working on Thank God for Drugs in 2012, and by mid-2013, he had recorded over 3 hours of the album, with the help of many producers and sound engineers he had put on. However, all of this work was cut down to only 40 minutes by Rick Rubin when he got put in charge of the project. In 2025, many track-listed files were made public as part of the TGFD/Yeezus 2025 mass leak. And although it is quite impossible to point out which files belong together, some songs and beats are very recognizable in some of Kanye's other projects and projects of other artists. The album cover for Thank God for Drugs is the same as that of Yeezus, only that TGFD has a figure of a person being slammed to the ground by pills. Cruel Winter. In 2012, Kanye released Cruel Summer, a compilation album from his GOOD Music record label that features top artists, including Pusha T, Big Sean, Kid Cudi, Tiana Taylor, Jay-Z, 2 Chainz, Travis Scott, Common, John Legend, D'banj, Malik Yusef, Raekwon, Ghostface Killah, DJ Khaled, and Sci-Hi the Prince. However, later that year, Q-Tip, who was a signee of GOD Music, revealed that the reason he wasn't on Cruel Summer was that A Cruel Winter was on the way. Later on, a number of artists, including Big Sean, Travis Scott, and Malik Yusef, confirmed that the album was really going to happen, but by the end of 2013, the talks of the album were scrapped. But in 2015, talks of Cruel Winter came back up, and All Hip Hop released a track list for the album. In June, clips of Kanye and Big Sean working on the album went public, and a couple of untitled, unreleased songs were previewed on Big Boy's 92.3. On the 10th of June, Kanye released Champions, which featured 2 Chainz, Big Sean, Designer, Gucci Mane, Quavo, Travis Scott, and Yo Gotti, and teased a 15-minute version of the song with the GOOD Music roster on it, but that never came out. The hype and anticipation for Cruel Winter continued to go on, with November 2016 being the stated release date, but the date came and went without the album. By 2018, the talks for Cruel Winter were scrapped. Yeezus 2. The Yeezus 2 project was supposed to be a sequel to Kanye's 6th solo studio album, Yeezus. In an interview in 2013, Rick Rubin, who had produced the previous album, teased that Yeezus 2 might be seeing a release soon. Yeezus 2 was born to be a way to release a significant part of the cut-out songs from the original Yeezus album, which held 16 tracks instead of the 10 that Rick Rubin dropped it to. Because of Spotify's ability to import songs from local files on your computer to your Spotify player, a playlist titled YPM was discovered on Sci-Hi's Spotify account. This sparked a lot of speculations among fans, especially since abbreviated track names such as W, OO, and AY matched Wolves, Only One, and After You, unreleased songs from then. The playlist's name, YPM, also earned a few interpretations from fans like Your Prayers Mattered, with one even referencing the collaboration between Kanye and former Beatles member Paul McCartney at the time. Yeezus 2 went through a lot of transformations, going from releasing the shelved tracks to throwing in remixes of tracks originally featured in the Yeezus album. In the process of its change, its name was later changed to So Help Me God, then Swish, which were also all scrapped. Ye did not release another album until The Life of Pablo in 2016, and no songs from this project were officially released. Swish. In May of 2015, Kanye announced that his 7th studio album was going to be titled Swish, and the set release date was on the 11th of February 2016. But in January of 2016, Kanye announced that he was going to change the title of the album from Swish to Waves. He also changed the animated cover art from an animated photo of his then-wife, Kim Kardashian, to a kind of X-ray version of it. Kanye then had to change the title of the album again because it caused a beef between him and Wiz Khalifa. During that same time that Kanye announced that the album was going to be titled Waves, another rapper named Max B also had an album titled Waves in the works. Max B was a close friend of Wiz Khalifa, so Wiz called Kanye out after the album name change. The two went back and forth on Twitter, and 2 weeks before the release of the album, Kanye changed the title again to The Life of Pablo. By the time The Life of Pablo came out, a lot of songs that had been said to be released on Swish were no longer there. Most notable was the original version of Famous, which was then titled Nina Chops, Watch the Throne 2. Watch the Throne 2 was meant to be a sequel to Kanye and Jay-Z's hit joint album, Watch the Throne. Fans anticipated it until 2016, when Ye went off on stage on a St. Pablo tour show. He said, "There will never be a Watch the Throne 2 because of some title/Apple bullshit." Kanye initially explained that the cancellation wasn't because of personal beef, but because of business complications between streaming services, Tidal, and Apple Music. He complained that business had come in the way of creativity, depriving the people of good music. Then he proceeded to talk about how hurt he had been that Jay-Z hadn't checked up on him in person, but only by phone call after Kim Kardashian's robbery 2 weeks earlier. There was no mention of Watch the Throne 2 again until 2 years later, when Kanye randomly tweeted, "Throne 2 coming soon," teasing a sequel again. Its next mention was in 2021, when Justin LeBoy revealed that it would be released at the end of the year. However, Jay-Z never openly commented on the issue, but expressed disappointment in later interviews. Nothing from the album was ever leaked, leading people to wonder if the album was ever worked on. TurboGrafx 16. Only 10 days after Kanye released The Life of Pablo, he announced that he was going to release another album in the summer, titled TurboGrafx 16. The TurboGrafx 16 is a Japanese video game console from the late 1980s. According to Kanye, the gaming console was his favorite during his childhood, and the inspiration for the album. During the creation of the album, Kanye was seen working with artists like Migos, Drake, Lil Yachty, Young Thug, and Future. He was also working with Pusha T on his Daytona album during that time. However, TurboGrafx 16 was scrapped out because the production of the album coincided with his The Life of Pablo tour, and almost immediately after the tour, he was admitted to UCLA Medical Hospital. According to Pete Rock, who was involved in the production of the album, a lot of Wii video games like Super Mario Bros., Pikmin 2, Sonic Colors, and Resident Evil were sampled in the tracks. Now, because of how mysterious the TurboGrafx 16 album was, very little songs go leaked to the public, but several songs recorded for the album are known to exist, like Damn Come On, featuring Kid Cudi and No Reason, with Justin Bieber and Post Malone. Wolves. Back in 2015, Kanye revealed that he and Drake had a joint project, which was the inspiration for his Wolves track that was featured during his Yeezy Season fashion show that year. Kanye then released his 7th studio album, Life of Pablo, the following year, and Drake was featured as a co-writer on the track 30 Hours, which was a sign that the two artists were actually making music together, but there was no solid information about the release of their potential joint project. In August of 2016, however, a green billboard appeared in LA with the text "Calabasas is the new Abu Dhabi" on it, alongside the logos of the OVO and Good Music record labels. The logo also appeared at the 2016 MTV Video Music Awards. The anticipation for the joint project remained on, but after Drake's infamous rap beef with Pusha T, he got blacklisted by the members of Good Music, including Kanye, especially after dissing him on Duppy Freestyle collab with Sci-Hi. In 2015, Sci-Hi revealed that he and Kanye were planning to release a collaborative album, and even compared it to a Dr. Dre and Eminem type of project, but the album was never released. Sci-Hi has been involved in a couple of projects with Kanye. He was involved in over 80% of the work on Watch the Throne, and also played a big part in Yeezus, Love Everyone aka Hitler. In April of 2018, Kanye posted a conversation where he talked about a new album he was working on. In the chat, Kanye said he was going to use a mugshot of Dr. Jan Adams, the plastic surgeon who last operated on Kanye's mom before her death, as the cover art, and that he wanted to forgive and stop hating. Shortly before this, Kanye had been released from the UCLA Medical Center after he had his infamous 2016 psychiatric emergency and bought a ranch in Wyoming where he recorded music, so a lot of people think that was where he was working on the album. The person in the chat then told Kanye that he would want the album to be named Love Everyone, so the public took it as the potential title of the album. But there were some claims that Ye actually wanted the album to be called Hitler. Later that month, Kanye then released 2 songs, Lift Yourself and Ye vs. the People, which were expected to appear on the album. But the talks of Love Everyone died after his insane TMZ interview in May 2018, where he said really crazy stuff about slavery. He then scrapped the album and began working on his 8th studio album, Ye, collab with Kendrick. In 2016, Kanye West revealed that he and Kendrick Lamar recorded over 40 songs together and could compile an album out of all of these tracks. Most of these tracks were reported to be freestyles over Madlib produced beats, but the only officially released song from their sessions is No More Parties in LA on the Life of Pablo album, collab with Young Thug. Just like with Kendrick Lamar, Kanye also claimed to have recorded over 40 songs with Young Thug that could be brought down to an album, but the only officially released song from their sessions is Highlights, which is also on the Life of Pablo album. Yandhi. During the sessions of The Good Ass Job in the summer of 2018, Kanye created another unreleased album titled Yandhi, after he and Chance the Rapper recorded a track titled Hurricane, which ended up being released with The Weeknd. Kanye loved the sound so much, he decided to create an album that imitated the sound on the track. He started working on Yandhi, and in September announced on Twitter that he was going to release the album. There was a lot of hype for the album, especially because of the potential collabs that included Kid Cudi, Ty Dolla $ign, Young Thug, Teyana Taylor, Lauryn Hill, and Nicki Minaj. He even had a Billboard advert for the album. However, the wait for Yandhi started becoming too long, and Kanye came up with a couple of outrageous excuses. One time, he said he stopped recording because a bee got into the studio. By 2019, Kanye had moved his focus to creating spiritual music and working on his 9th studio album, Jesus is King, and most of the productions on Yandhi got absorbed into the new album and other projects of Kanye's that followed. The talks of Yandhi faded, but in 2025, during a digital Nas stream, he revealed that he was still going to release Yandhi. Kids See Ghosts 2. Another album that was scrapped off because of a beef was Kids See Ghosts 2 with Kid Cudi. In 2019, Kid Cudi revealed in a lot of interviews that he and Kanye were working on sequels to their very successful collab project, Kids See Ghosts. In an interview with Complex, Cudi said, "There will be more Kids See Ghosts albums. Kanye already told me he wants to start working on the second one. We had a discussion where he said he wanted to make a spiritual album, and I told him, great, that's what I do. I would love to do that, something I can sink my teeth into. So there will definitely be more." But the talks of the new album died after the two fell out in 2022 because Cudi was friends with famous comedian Pete Davidson, who married Kim Kardashian after her and Kanye's divorce. Only 2 songs were known to have come out from their sessions for Kids See Ghosts 2. One of these tracks was Thank You, Volume 2, which was later given to Ty, and the second track was Robin Hood. Jesus is King with Dr. Dre. In 2019, only a few months after the release of his 9th studio album, Jesus is King, Kanye West announced that a remix was in the works and was going to be a collab with Dr. Dre. In January of 2020, news about the album began to go round again after a Dr. Dre-produced version of Up From the Ashes that was later released on Kanye's Donda was leaked on YouTube, and in June, Snoop Dogg posted a video of both artists working on the album in the studio. That same month, Kanye tweeted, "Jesus is King, Dr. Dre version," to imply that its release date was drawing closer. However, the remix album was abandoned because both Kanye and Dr. Dre had other issues they were dealing with. Kanye was working on his 10th album, Donda, and his presidential campaign in 2020, while Dre was hospitalized after being seriously affected by a brain aneurysm, had his house burgled, and at the same time, his marriage was failing. The Jesus is King remix album was going to have features from artists like A$AP Ferg, Anderson .Paak, and Eminem, who featured on a remix of Use This Gospel that was later featured on DJ Khaled's God Did, God's Country. Following the release of 2019's Jesus is King, talk soon emerged on the work being done on Kanye's then latest project, God's Country. The first mention of the album was in May 2020 by cinematographer Arthur Jaya on an Instagram Live when he said Kanye had been really busy working on new material. He'd let on that he was in the process of doing a collab with Chance the Rapper, and that the video would be the first single off the album. The video in question ended up being for Wash Us in the Blood, released as the lead and only single for the album of the same name. In God's Country, Kanye reworked material from the also unreleased Yandhi, as well as the introduction of a few darker themes, since many demos of Yandhi had already circulated among fans. The hype was great. Talks about the album came to an end when Ye was inspired to dedicate the album to his mother, and so tweeted that he'd renamed the album to Donda on July 21st, 2020. The album title moved from Donda to Donda with Child, and finally back to Donda before its official release in 2021. Donda with Child. After he decided to dedicate the album to his mother, Donda with Child was supposed to be Kanye's 10th album. The album was planned to be released on July 24th, 2020, which he missed since his 2020 presidential election campaigns were on at the time. A lot of themes and concepts were brought over from God's Country, which he blended with new tracks inspired by his mother, Donda West. His work on the album would continue on and off until it was suspended around the end of the year, when he lost the election. In March 2021, Sci-Hi confirmed to Vlad TV that Kanye was back to work on the album. Since 2020, though, views had changed, and the original sound and theme had also been changed to mirror his mind shift. With a lot of leaked content, although majorly appearing in September 2023, the Donda with Child era officially came to an end with the release of Donda. Chirac. Kanye West's rumored Chirac album remains one of his most mysterious, unreleased projects. The album was first rumored in 2020 by designer Joe Perez, after he shared artwork and hinted at the album's existence. Chirac was believed to be inspired by Chicago's turbulent environment and Kanye's roots in the city, but due to other projects, Kanye stopped working on Chirac. The album never saw an official release or leak, and little is known about its track list or collaborators. War. War was supposed to be a collaborative album by Kanye, James Blake, and No ID back in 2022. The trio started working on the album in April of that year, but it remained a secret until September, after Kanye previewed some songs from it at a club in London. In October, during Yeezy Season 9, Kanye also previewed the first version of the track, What I Would Have Said at Virgil's Funeral. And on the 10th of October, Kanye's Last Week documentary dropped, and the phrase "war" was displayed after the intro of the video. That was the soft launch of the album, and 6 days later, Kanye confirmed that he, James Blake, and No ID were working on an album during his infamous Drink Champs interview. But after Kanye's anti-Semitic comments on Alex Jones's podcast, James Blake no longer wanted to have anything to do with Kanye, so the talks about war got scrapped. However, on Sneako's party stream in May of 2025, Ye confirmed that War was still on the way and even played several songs, including Quiet, which is the original version of this one here, Bobby Digital, and 2 other untitled songs. Yibu. After War got scrapped, Kanye began working on his 11th studio album, and initially, there were a lot of suggestions on what the title was going to be. Music producer Eric Sermon then confirmed that the 11th album was going to be Y3 and that it was going to be a return to old Kanye, but 2 days later, Kanye claimed that no such album existed, and it was fake news. Music insider Lewitt then revealed that the album's title was going to be Yibu because Kanye wanted the album to sound like a conversation at Nobu. Shortly after his controversy on Alex Jones's podcast, Kanye released a track titled Someday We'll All Be Free, and shortly after, his Twitter account was suspended, so he went silent on social media. During this silence, Kanye was working on Yibu and would invite artists to record with him in his LA hotel room in Kanye's Melrose building. Some of the artists that recorded with him included Lil Durk, Fivio Foreign, Lifeless Garments, and Rollin' Thrax. Digital Nas was also in charge of the production and created over 34 beats for the album. In June of 2023, Kanye relocated to Japan, where he held a private listening party for the album. However, Yibu died down after Ty Dolla $ign invited Kanye to executive produce his album, Tycoon. Kanye dropped Yibu and shifted his attention to Ty's project. Some of the confirmed songs on Yibu include Beg Forgiveness, Showtime, Flowers, We Did It Kid, Streetlights, Everybody, Not Inclusive, and Ticket to Heaven, Bad Bitch Playbook. While Kanye and Ty Dolla $ign worked on Ty's Tycoon album in Japan, Ty Dolla $ign played the first version of his Burn track, and Kanye loved it so much he suggested that they both work on a collab album. The two then traveled to Italy in August of 2022 to work on Bad Bitch Playbook, and on the 27th of September, TMZ released an article that confirmed that Kanye was working on both Ty's solo album and a collab album. According to reports, there were a lot of top artists in Italy during the recording sessions, including Freddie Gibbs, Metro Boomin, and Playboi Carti. For the rest of September, Ty and Kanye would preview a number of untitled songs from the album, and on the 5th of October, Ty posted a picture on Instagram with the text yen sign and dollar sign to confirm that he and Kanye were working on the album. The plans for Bad Bitch Playbook began to fall out of place after a number of planned performances continued to fall out. About 3 of their planned shows got canceled in a month, and they planned to release the album on October 13th, but that also got canceled because they didn't have a distributing partner. By the beginning of November, Ty, Kanye, and his entire Yeezy team left Italy for Saudi Arabia to continue work on Bad Bitch Playbook, but that was the last of the album that was heard of. It is believed that the idea was replaced by the Vultures series. Vultures 3. Before the release of the first Vultures album, Vultures 1, Kanye West announced that the project would be a 3-part series, and even provided dates for all 3 albums. The first one was scheduled to be released on the 9th of February, the second on the 8th of March, 2024, and the third and final one on the 5th of April, 2024. Kanye went on to release Vultures 1 and Vultures 2, but the final part of the album never came out. On the 4th of August, Kanye posted a conversation between him and a producer talking about a new version of a track titled Drunk, and one of the messages from the producer read, "Let's just save it for the next one," and even claimed that the album was going to rip heads off, which then raised hopes for the release of Vultures 3. But 4 days later, the track was released as part of the Vultures 2 digital album, featuring Peso Pluma and Kodak Black. In the months that followed, Ty Dolla $ign, who was the co-artist on the Vultures series, revealed in a couple of interviews that Vultures 3 was still going to happen, and even previewed new tracks like a new version of Don't Kill the Party. However, in March of 2025, Vultures 3 was announced to be cancelled after Kanye feuded over Ty featuring on Playboi Carti's album, I Am Music, and after Kanye's wave of anti-Semitic posts on Twitter, Ty didn't really want to be associated with him. Carti yay. During Kanye's beef with Playboi Carti, he revealed that they both had an album that they were working on, but that the album wasn't going to happen anymore. After Playboi Carti shouted out Kanye's ex-wife Kim Kardashian on Instagram for a mention, and invited Kanye's daughter, North, to feature on a track, Kanye got really angry and said that his daughter should never be allowed near Carti as long as he isn't there, and that he wasn't going to let North get trafficked by Carti. He also went on about being left out on Carti's I Am Music album and tweeted, "We were working on a project called Carti Yay. I'm sorry that this won't happen now," from Carti's actual twin. The last part is a reference to Kendrick calling Carti his twin during his verse on Good Credit. However, Kanye later clarified that it wasn't Carti's fault that the album failed, and claimed it was a mob practice coercion to get all his family to not work with him. World record holders. Back in the mid-1990s, Kanye was a part of a Chicago rap group called The Go-Getters. The other members included GLC, Timmy G, and Aerostar, who were all underground Chicago rap acts at the time. The group had a number of released songs and even made a number of radio appearances, but their debut album, World Record Holders, was never released. Bonus section, RoboCop. Although this was not an album, in 2011, Kanye reportedly shot a music video for the RoboCop off his 808s and Heartbreaks album. The main character in the red video was his then-girlfriend, Amber Rose, who played the role of a robot. The video was directed by Hype Williams, and the whole animated concept was inspired by Kanye's love for video games. In the video, Kanye, the only human character in the video, sings to a nude robot doll of Amber Rose while they go round a techno-themed world. The video was never officially released, but in 2024, the full version of the video was leaked on YouTube. Alligator Boots, the series. In 2007, Kanye and Rhymefest created an adult puppet comedy show, Alligator Boots. The show was a parodical imitation of The Muppet Show, which Kanye had also hosted. Kanye first pitched Alligator Boots to Jimmy Kimmel, the co-founder of Jackhole Productions, and then to Comedy Central with a budget of $1 million. In Alligator Boots, Kanye was the only human character, but along the way he brought Kim Kardashian on board the show. Alligator Boots was never officially released, but in 2024, the full pilot episode was leaked on YouTube. Kids See Ghosts, computer animated series. In 2020, Kid Cudi announced a computer animated show for his Kids See Ghosts collab album with Kanye. Directed by Japanese artist Takashi Murakami, the series followed the adventures of the Kanye bear that appears in all 3 of Kanye's first albums, and a fox, which was the character for Kid Cudi. However, the talks of the computer animated series vanished, and it is most likely as a result of the beef between the artists, Donda Cosmetics and Yeezy Beauty. In 2017, some sources revealed that Kanye was planning to start his cosmetic fashion line and was going to name it after his late mother, Donda. Kanye had already finished the paperwork, but for unknown reasons, it never materialized. In 2020, Kanye reportedly trademarked Yeezy Beauty, which was also going to be a cosmetic line, but that also never became a thing. Kanye video game. In 2015, Kanye announced that he had a mobile game in the works named Only One, after his collab album with Paul McCartney. The game was being developed by LA film and animation studio Encyclopedia Pictura, and in the game, players would control Kanye's mom, Donda West, as she ascended to heaven, avoiding obstacles along the way. But at the end of 2016, the company pulled out of the project because of all the controversy Kanye was involved in, and according to a statement on their official page, they had completed a version of the game, but it was never released because Kanye wanted to expand its scope. Kanye then pitched the game to Nintendo and asked Shigeru Miyamoto, the then director of the gaming company, to develop the Only One video game. But at that time, in 2020, Nintendo already had a lot of projects to focus on. Now, if you like this video, make sure to subscribe or watch my other videos here.